Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the CalPEDS Q&A for May 14th, 2025. My name is Paul Higgins. I'm a data analyst working at CSIS supporting CalPEDS. Let's see. Announcements. End of year is open. We are in the thick of it. Everything's been running. Like we said last week, we had a bit of a rough start with getting revisions out. But with the data discrepancy screen available, I think most LEAs were able to continue to function. The recommended date for zero errors being 7/11/25, so July 11th. We would hope that everybody has uploaded their data, worked through all of the errors, and is now at a point where they can start reviewing the reports beginning July 11th. The certification deadline is 2 weeks later on the 25th, and a brief amendment window will follow that is intended for corrections only. So definitely shouldn't still be doing hardcore data population, in that amendment window. Let's see. We did have a flash come out, number 301 on the 6th, and I don't believe we got a chance to discuss that last week. I think that fell right after our meeting. So Flash 301 is out there discussing Ed data collection systems for the 24-25 collection. How to access EDCS, and what you do in there. So please take a look at Flash 301. I believe it has been published out there on the CDE's CalPEDS communication page. Angela is delayed today, so our usual discussion of the build is not going to be as detailed, but if you can go to the what's it called? The active and fixed known issues list down in the footer of CalPEDS. You will see all of the active issues as well as the ones that were resolved in the 5.13 build. So you can see all of that in the recently fixed issues. And there it is up on screen. All right. Does anybody else have anything for the group? CDE, any of the trainers, anybody have anything for the group, or shall we move on?
Nothing from me.
Oh, Dominic, I didn't even see you were here. Good to hear you. Okay, let's move on to the Q&A box. Q1 from Soraya at 301. May we receive an update on defect 7161 and 7168? Some of our LEAs are unable to test students due to erroneous ownership on the SCNR. Blank 2526 CCE anomaly reports are hindering our ability to complete the outreach needed to resolve the CCEs. Any workarounds or other LEAs have had this issue are welcome as well. Thank you.
Paul, I have an
yes, sir.
update. Both of those are about the CCEs, and the one where the no results for the CCEs for 2526, that one is in the resolve state. So I think they just have to finish testing that, and that should go in the next release. And then the other one, 7168, is pending PR, so that one should be resolved soon too. So I expect that will be going in next Tuesday as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary. All right, moving on, and it looks like Kyron is typing the answer to this, but Noel at 301 Q1. What other data elements would trigger STAS 707E3 when expected attendance days and total enrollment days match? See, this is one of those questions where we actually need to dig into. Oh, and Kyron just wiped it out for me. So, Kyron, this is all on you. But generally, we need to look at the data that's either being submitted, already posted, and compare it to the error. So we can't really do that on a live telecast here. So I would recommend looking at the error in the user manual, verifying all of the fields validated, and just verifying what Gary's highlighting there, which I can't read because it's so small.
And that's Alex, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex, I apologize.
All good.
If the enrollment exit date has not been populated for the STAS submission, CalPEDS will use May 15th as the default date when computing the total enrollment days. Okay, so that said, thank you, Alex, for highlighting that. This is one of those little oddities that this error will begin triggering right about now if you haven't exited your students, and it will use the May 15th date to calculate data. So the way to resolve this is to exit the student with the appropriate information using the correct date, and then it will calculate based on those dates. And we understand that, not everybody's done with school, so not everybody can submit all of their STAS data. This just triggers as an alert, as a warning to, or as a fatal error to you, telling you that you need to do this, and then it goes away as soon as you do it. So that's what the STAS 707E3 is telling you. Let's see, going to Rigoberto at 301. Q1, we understand that the 9 through 12 grade dropouts are captured on the 15.1, 15.2 reports and reflected on the California dashboard, but are middle school enrollments with no subsequent enrollment monitored by any state or federal dashboard reporting metric. I need to first clarify that the 15.1 and 15.2 reports are the cohort reports. They are not there to specifically report dropouts. Dropouts for the cohort data mean a very different thing than dropouts for other data. So I would actually recommend you opening up a service desk ticket and asking this question and maybe expanding on what you're looking for, because I don't think that you're looking for it in the right place if you're on the 15.1 and 15.2 looking for a dropout count. Dropouts are usually accounted for in the fall 1 reporting. And yeah, there it is, the 1.24. So that may be more of the resource you're looking for. And as to the middle and elementary school kids, I don't believe dropout data is calculated for them, or at least not through CalPADS. And I think, Sean, you can clarify that if that's ever monitored anywhere else.
The question is a little ambiguous to me, so that's why I agree with putting in a services ticket, because I initially thought you're looking for students that one, I agreed that cohorts is for 15.1 and 15.2, but then also if you're just looking for students that you don't know where they are, then those would be on your ERD reports to show that those students have not continued somewhere, or typically where you thought they might be. So that's another place, but that doesn't necessarily indicate a dropout. It just means that the exit record hasn't continued, but it does have a quote unquote dropout category though. And you'll notice that category at the bottom of the CCE report.
Okay, he did just add a little clarification that he wanted more clarification regarding 8th grade dropouts being on the dashboard, and if 6th and 7th graders also count.
There used to be a 1-year dropout report in DataQuest. The most recent data file is 16-17 school year. It did include 7th and 8th graders. And then in CalPADS, the state level dropout report only includes 7th grade and up. So I don't ever remember us tracking 6th grade or providing data on 6th grade dropouts. In fact, there was an elementary school code that didn't trigger any ERD indicating a dropout. So I'm pretty confident 6th grades, elementary schools have never been considered potential dropouts, but 7th and 8th grades at one time were, and that's why we had the E230-480 matriculation code, because some students would complete 8th grade, and if they weren't coded as such, if they were given a T60, they'd be attributed as a state level dropout. But like I said, in DataQuest, the most recent data file is 16-17.
Okay, you're correct.
So-
And the 7th through 12th grade is calculated because that's when you report courses.
All right. Well, thank you all for the clarification on that. All right, moving on to Amber 302 Q1. Question for next year. If students do both attendance recovery and independent study, is there a combined limit, or can they do the 10 days of attendance recovery and the max days of independent study? I am not sure.
The combined limit is 10. If you're talking about, you can't do attendance recovery for independent study. It's independent study. You get credit or no credit for the work that you've done.
All right, and Alex has pulled up the attendance recovery, CDE's attendance recovery page up on screen, which discusses what we know about the program thus far. All right,
Looks
let's
like
move on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
you were just dropping in what it was. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
Okay,
It
I was just
flashed on the
saying,
screen so quickly that I didn't process fast enough. Sorry.
I get you. All right, moving on to Rebecca 302 Q1. I received a great question from a school counselor. If summer courses are not reported to CalPADS, how would summer college courses get captured for purposes of the CCI?
Okay, so when you say summer college courses, Rebecca, assuming you're meaning you have, I really don't want to confuse this. Oh, because people are going to take this and run. So when you're talking about college courses, you're talking about they have an agreement. Yes, and so these are courses that are offered by the school that are taught by college professors, correct? Thank you. So for courses that are taught during the summer, the LEA can report them. Okay, they have to put up that 1 day enrollment, um, but they are not required to. That's the simplest answer. It's just like behavior. If they have an incident over the summer, then yes, they need to put in that 1 day enrollment and then report the incident with it um, for that LEA. But it's not, but we don't require summer school enrollment. Yes, you're correct.
Okie dokie. Let's move along to Jamie at 303 Q1. Currently, our schools are receiving a SIMP 453 error for the majority of our students. While we understand the error, our school mostly services young adults, and even if they are willing to disclose their parents' highest education level, they are not willing to put their parents' names. My question is, what guidance would CalPED suggest? Should we put unknown for the first and last name of the guardian, or should we delete the highest education level? My only issue is if we have over 1,000 students alone in one school, and the and the and was SINT 453 taken into consideration for the small population of adult students? I believe the workaround for this is to reply, and I don't remember the numeric value, it might be 14, uh, decline to state. So you put decline to state and then no information for parental name information in there, and all of that will be resolved. The parent guardian one highest ed level is still a required field, uh, but all the other ones are not. So you have to populate that ed code field. But if they are declining to state, refusing to state, however you want to say that, you can use that decline to state value in there. It's not ideal, and there are still discussions going on around this error and the requirements of the parent and guardian 1 and 2, highest ed level, and identity information. So it is an ongoing conversation, but that is the workaround.
Paul, if I can
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
correct a little bit, there
Mhm.
was a validation that got switched. I can't remember what it was now, but the highest ed
A
level is no
pause.
longer required.
I want to pause, Alex.
Yeah.
I want them to wait till the flash comes out. I was going to stop Paul too.
Okay.
It's in the works because it's clearly stated in the flash.
Yeah.
It's in its final stages. If I don't remember the person that asked the question, Jamie, if you can sit tight till next week at maximum, and you'll have everything that you need, including the validation that Alex is beginning to speak on.
Wonderful. I will wait on pins and needles for Flash 302. Moving on to Kimberly 303 Q1. Will the 4/23/2025 Q&A recording be available on the CSIS YouTube channel? 416 and 430 are posted, but not 423.
Paul, I can answer this one. Alex, could you go to this YouTube page? And Marshall, that Q&A that there's 430, that if you click on that one, that's me doing the 423, hosting the 423. So that 430 is actually the 423. The 430 has actually not been posted yet. So
I'll have to check on that, see
Yeah.
what switched it up
yeah.
on there like that.
And I just
so.
saw that right before the meeting because I clicked that. We're trying to figure out who was supposed to host today.
Good catch.
Yeah,
I'll
so
get
you just
that
missed the
changed
date there.
today.
All right, good catch, Gary.
Yep.
Amber, I see your Q2. Colleen at 304 Q1. I'm getting duplicate records on 3.10 and 3.11. Initially thought it was due to 2 uploads that didn't play well together, so I ran the CRSC and SCSC extracts and uploaded them as delete files to clear everything out. I verified the extracts were empty. Unfortunately, after one new update, the issue persists. I don't see this on the known issue list. This is news, so please submit service desk ticket on that. Include the job ID that you uploaded, and then we will verify everything we can and go from there. Heather 305 Q1. One of our districts requested an SSID, then realized the student wasn't age appropriate for TK until next year. The SSID was created and the record has name, date of birth, and gender, but no district or enrollment, etc. Can the SSID just be maintained until they enroll the student in August? Just N470 it. Exit it as N470. It will be created, it'll still be out there, but it won't be an active record in CalPEDS right now. Terry 308 Q1. If we manually post a one-day 24/25 STAS record for the summer grad, and then you submit a STAS batch file during the end of year 24/25, if the student is not in the batch file, will the manual entry be deleted since the STAS file is full replacement? What are the operational keys on the STAS file? Then yes, if you're going to wipe that one out. So after you do your STAS, you should probably do your one-offs. And then as a safety measure, you could do a STAS extract and pull everything out that includes the one-offs that you added. So that way you do have a file that you could re-upload with all of that data included.
If I could,
I emailed about this issue. This is Jan from Aries, that it's an issue because the next year one-day enrollment record we can upload, we can do it in the current year for next year. and we can even create the status record. But because of the full replacement file, they'll still get an error at the end. The student doesn't exist in the LEA's database for the new year because they graduated in the prior year. So I don't know. I was asking if there's some tweaking that can be done to the logic, because I don't understand, why we have to do a STAS exempt record if they could just make it not required for a one-day graduate record, because this is always going to be an issue now.
Well, what I was going to suggest is maybe the one-day enrollment for the summer is not necessary if the summer class can be reported in the current academic, in the academic year that just is passed.
This is for graduates after 7-1. It's not an issue for graduates before 7-1, but it is an issue because 7-1 starts a new academic year.
Yeah.
So they have to be reported with the next academic year. And now that you require a STAS also, it's an issue.
And you said that you had put in a ticket already on that?
I think I sent an email to Angela and Sean.
Okay. Then I am going to trust that Angela and Sean have that and are
Currently backlogged
doing their due
on
diligence.
emails. Yeah, I'm currently back. If you sent it to me, I'm currently backlogged on emails. I was out last week, so I'm still catching up from last week.
All righty. Well, we will get to it. And hopefully we can find a nice solution to that. All right, Yadira, 310, Q1, is there any guidance on how or if we can exit out students that have been no-shows? Contact attempts have been made, but they are McKinney-Vento students who we allowed to exit the student with a 400. Well, or if we can exit students. Well, if they're no-shows, then they're N470s. I guess I'm not understanding the problem. If they're no-shows, they should be N470s. If they attended any length of time, and they are less than 6 or greater than 18, you can use the E400. And Alex is searching for flashes at the moment.
There's an old flash one. I don't know if it's 138, 148.
It's in
If
the
it,
report mapping guide
thank you.
for roadmap for end of year. It's flash 144, I believe. If you go to CalPAS Communications.
Oh,
At
up
the
here.
top, yeah. And then scroll to the bottom. There,
Here we go.
132.
Thank you, Kyron. I knew you had it in the user manual. I just didn't know where. This is an old one, but it's a goodie, and it talks about what the expectation is for when you can exit a student, and it talks right here, exit options.
Oh, is this the
and-
one where it defines when to use the E4 140 and the SARB process that has to be followed as well?
Correct. Mhm.
Excellent.
And for
Good
70,
call. All right, good call, Alex.
Does
Thank
that
you.
give that for McKinney-Vento?
I don't know if
That's a
it talks
tricky one.
about homeless on here, but it does talk about having a full investigation.
So I understand the full investigation, but because the student is McKinney-Vento, they fall under different laws and requirements. And for that, that's an attendance law, not a CalPADS or enrollment law, so I'm going to direct you to your child welfare and attendance monitor because they should have a codified plan at your LEA to be able to disenroll that student, but also prior to disenrolling that student, they should have a plan in place to be able to ensure that they've done their due diligence to be able to locate the student and or provide the family the services that they need and are required to.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and close that one out. Yadira, I see your Q2. We'll circle back. Terry, I see your Q2. All right. Annette, 312. Student is arrested and goes to juvenile hall. Do I exit the student or do I continue to keep him on if it's a short visit for under 30 days? That's a local decision. When that short-term enrollment exists at the juvenile court facility, it's not going to create a CCE because it's on a short-term enrollment. If it exceeds 30 days, it will become a de facto primary. And at that point, at any point in there, the LEA, the school could decide that they do not wish to, maintain their enrollment. And I believe that it's usually done as a convenience to keep their enrollment open and all of their class enrollments open so they don't have to redo the entire process when they return or if they return. So it's up to you as to whether you do it immediately or you wait until after they've been gone for a period of time. But after that short term exceeds 30 days, the juvenile court facility should change it to a primary, but if they don't, CalPEDS will still read it as a primary and it will be a CCE to be resolved.
Thank you,
So
Paul.
what?
Thank you, Paul.
Did I hit all the hot button issues there?
You hit all the hot button issues, and then the only thing I can add is the SSID enrollment guide clearly states everything that you just said.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Got that. Charlene, 319, Q1. We are a K through 8 district. End of year 1 reporting is not that critical for us. And I kind of remember in previous years, we had quite a few SENR 713E1 warnings, no student course section data for a primarily enrolled student. To make sure this year's SENR 713E1s are not out of the ordinary. I went back to check the end of year 1 from previous years. It took me by surprise that we had 0 warnings. Is it my memory playing tricks on me? I don't know. Critical, I remember. So if I recall correctly, grades 7 and 8 are permitted to use the departmentalized course codes instead of just the self-contained course code. And that's why they are triggering the warnings. As to prior years, I can't speak to.
I think it was a different, I think it was CERT 99 is what you would be looking for. In previous years, I think the warning for courses not submitted for students in end of year 1 was the CERT 99 error. It was converted to a DD, I believe, maybe this year.
And that would explain that. So if you're looking on the data discrepancies screen for prior years, you're not going to see the warnings. But if you check your certification details screen under the warnings, you may see that CERT 99 that Nate is referencing. Right. Elise at 320 Q1. A follow-up to Rebecca's question, if we put up a college course for a student with a summer term, this course has an articulation agreement with the college, would this course count for the CCI indicator on the dashboard? I understand that we can put it up. I want to be sure that it will count.
It's past your certified data It could be pass your certified data. So if it's pass your certified data, no, it would not count. If it's included in the subsequent school year though, or if it's included within your reporting, then yes, for that school year, then yes. But again, you have to have that complete record there. So that's where I go back to, I think it was Lou that put in the comment that it's going to be a local decision, as well as to what year you're recording that in and sending that information up to CalPADS 4.
On the screen, I have the mini guide for the CCI that CDE or dashboard people created. At the bottom of it, you have an Appendix A, and it talks about all the courses and the grades that are being pulled, and there's a marking period. So again, as Sean mentioned, depending on what year you submitted it, right? But the marking period SS for summer is one of the ones that are being pulled and considered for CCI.
All right, thank you, Alex. Appreciate that. Larney 326 Q1, slightly related to Rebecca's question regarding the summer college course. I understand Sean's hesitation, but I wanted to confirm if the student, while primarily enrolled with us, took a summer course from the nearby community college with the college professor, are not reportable, correct?
That's
How
correct.
about, okay, so correct.
That is not a course offered at your school. That is a course, and that's why I didn't like the question, because I wanted to be real clear. If it is not a part of your LEA, it is not a course that is offered for your students to click on your website and enroll in. If they have to go somewhere else and enroll in that course, please do not report that to CalPADS. Pretty please.
I think Alex got there. I was going to say there's the definition in the document that Alex had open.
It's a flash on it. We done wrote it in a document. It just came out again in the handbook. Nate, look, I've written it. I'm a little blue in the face.
All righty, thank you very much. All right, see all that. Nilissa 330 Q1. If a student is suspended for 5 days and recommended for expulsion, what do we do with the pending expulsion discipline record? The time between the 5-day suspension and the board meeting, do we report it as 300? Don't we have an FAQ on this as to how to code the duration of an incident leading up to the expulsion?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what 300 was. Thank you.
There it is. So how should LEAs calculate the duration of a suspension for a student? And there's the pending an expulsion scenario in there. And below, and they discuss everything that happens in there. So you're basically counting that suspension during the entire window where you're waiting for the expulsion hearing findings or the hearing to be held, or however that is done at your district. But yeah, you can see the FAQ under incidents and discipline in CalPADS FAQs. All right, Heather, I see your Q2. I'm going to circle up to Amber's Q2 at 303. For attendance recovery, not sure if anybody can answer this. We were told that the person supervising needs to be certificated. Is that certificated or certified, or certificated teacher rather? Is that a certificated or certificated teacher? I know a certificated counselor cannot be assigned to the class. Wondering if it's the same for attendance recovery. Supervision, there we go. Certificated employee of the local education agency. So it does not specify certificated teacher, but a certificated employee. Based on that definition, I would say that it does not require a teacher, but I am not 100% certain. So we may want to go and look at that ed code to verify that that is stated correctly.
And she says she found her answer.
I'm pretty sure it's a teacher, not just employee, because it has to have the student-teacher ratio there and everything within that ed code, but I would review the ed code, and I'm glad you found it.
There is perfect. Yeah, we should probably address this to add certificated teacher in
Somebody
lieu
put
of the
in
word employee.
Can somebody put in a ticket so we can send that over to the program office, because that's not our FAQ.
Ah, very good. Amber, could I petition you to put in a service desk ticket identifying the certificated employee verbiage there, and we will get it all taken care of on their FAQ page. Yadira 311 Q2, is there any documentation on what qualifies student to get opt-out, on what qualifies a student to opt out of testing?
What testing?
Whenever I hear testing, I assume LPAC.
You can't opt out of the initial LPAC, you can't opt out of it. You can opt out of services for it, but not the testing.
And CASP is required, or what's the science test that's required for everybody?
Oh, crap.
Because I remember there being a whole discussion about that too, that
Yeah.
some students thought that they were exempt from it, but nobody's exempt from it. And
Yeah, that's not a CalPERS. I hear you. This isn't a CalPERS question for me to get here. We gonna go right here. Hold on, Alex, can you go cut, paste, get this to Alex, and not reply to somebody else? All right. Alex, I just put it in the chat for the get answers. And that should be able to tell us, or that should be able to help.
okay, so short answer to your question is CalPADS doesn't know. We don't know how or what CASP/LPAC/TOMS, well, not TOMS, CASP and LPAC require for the opt-out option. So that would be a question for them, but here is the discussion on the page. So
That's the same one I found too, Alex. Thank you.
all right, so for the CASP, parents or guardians may opt out with a written request to the LEA. A student who is 18 years or older may opt themselves out. For the LPAC, there is no opt-out option. So there's the summary. All right, Terry, 311 Q2. Are there any updates or work in progress for report 15.1 cohort outcome to include a column for LTEL students?
Regionals. Terry, we'll see you next week.
And actually, the 15.2 has the LTEL column, but not the 15.1. You can use the filter. But again, they'll talk more about that at the regionals.
It was in last regional too.
All right, Heather, 333 Q2. What would cause a SPED-related Fall 1 error to show up now?
Dominic gets to do some work.
I mean, I have no idea.
Well, I have an idea,
Maybe,
Dominic.
go ahead, Nate.
The
The
data
DD.
discrepancies are always running, and
Right,
so
but don't you have to select the
well,
window?
they did select the window and they found one, but any data that has changed, maybe something was deleted or a record was submitted and it overlapped census day, it would trigger on fall one. Even though that's not in the cycle, the data discrepancies would trigger. It wouldn't be a certification error, of course, because that snapshot has passed, but still, the data discrepancy could still trigger. They didn't shut it off. They're constantly running, so whatever's relevant will trigger an error.
Oh, well, see, now I come to the Q&As to learn something. Thank you.
Yeah. That's how I felt on Tuesday.
And you
And
can
then
solve that error for next fall, the next fall one coming down the road, because that might pop up then.
yeah, you can go ahead, right? Like Gary said, you can go ahead. I would think that if there was a fall one error, you should get the same version of that error for end of year as well. Because the end of year looks at the entire academic year.
So true. All right, thank you all for that. Amber 307, she found her answer. In-person instruction is a requirement for any attendance recovery time to count towards the minimum daily minute requirement under Ed Code 46211E and generating ADA under Ed Code 46211F. In addition, states that students in attendance recovery must be under the immediate supervision of control of a certificated teacher as a condition of apportionment Ed Code 46211F. All right, so we got that straightened out. Larney 338 Q2. When sending out notifications and announcements to LEA, CalPADS admins, do they go to both the primary and secondary LEA admin or just the primary LEA admin?
All of them. All makes this face. He's like Sean. I'm not saying Sean. They go to both. They go to both Larney, and so, but that person has to truly be listed as the LEA admin, meaning that we don't have like a primary or secondary real order. It just means that we have two applications on file from your LEA listing these people as the actual CalPADS LEA admin. And so if that has been completed and filed with us, then those two people would get it. They would get the same notification. It does go, it's a massive list. And so it does go in order. My last name being Walker. I'm typically somewhere at the bottom of the list. So I know I get it later on. I get a copy of like the public view later on, just because that's how the way the listserv works. If the person is not getting their emails, I would ensure that they check with your IT department and make sure that the, what is it, at cde.ca.gov is whitelisted from all domains to make sure that they're getting it. And then before that, what is it? Check your spam or junk folders to see if that's where they're going to.
All righty, thank you, Sean. Charlene 340, back to my Q1. If we don't have any warnings under the DD, could we leave the SCNR 713E1 warnings alone?
Charlene, actually, I just checked for Cupertino, and you do have a SCNR 0713E1 warning DD. But make sure on the error severity, because this catches me every time, change that because it defaults to fatal. So make sure and change that to warning or all. I always change it to all. But once I changed it to all, that DD did show up.
Thank you, Gary. right, and Sin at 3:45 Q1. I just checked for fatals for fall 1 and see SENR 453 F1, invalid combination of parent guardian, last name, blah, blah, blah. When I click on the code, it takes me to a message. The resource you are looking for has been removed, had its name changed, or is temporarily unavailable. May I ignore this?
Yes, because I'm pretty sure Kyron's updating
Yeah.
it. It's-
I will reach out to requirements because probably it wasn't part of error list 16.18. So I'll update this as soon as we get information.
Perfect. Thanks, Kai.
We're all sitting tight. Don't worry.
All right. We just finished up with the questions. So if you have anything you need to ask, now's the time. We're down to 12 minutes left. So any questions that you still have eating at the back of your mind, put them in there now. All right, go ahead and put the questions in the box, or we're going to have Sean sing to you.
No, sir. I cannot sing to save her life.
See, it was always, kind of the carrot we dangled in front of him when Brandy was here. Now it's the stick we hang in front of him when you're here.
Well, if they want to hear Brandy sing, they got to go see her perform tonight.
Yeah.
Perform where?
Where's she performing?
I have no idea. She mentioned she had a gig. I don't really want to
Figure it out.
I don't want to
Oh, okay.
I was like, if not, you can always offer them pictures of Baby Rhea. So yeah, that keeps them here. That keeps them here, live and in charge. Like, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, whenever in doubt, just mention Baby Rhea, and they're like, oh yay.
I am driving. I could just pop up a picture.
Hey, see, Alex to the rescue.
I have pictures of Marshall and Kyron dancing.
Oh,
as
wait,
well.
wait,
Oh, that's
better.
Nate with the blackmail.
Oh, no.
Given the proper motivation, I can dance live.
There you go. There you go.
Where's the turbo music, Marshall?
I don't have the board connected, but next time maybe. I did learn something today that really struck me for a loop just a few minutes ago. Laura Hernandez placed some. It looked like gibberish in the chat, but it was actually a string of characters. So it kind of caught my curiosity about it, and so I actually went searching. And it's a hidden character that appears in Word that is actually a placeholder. It's for a placeholder. And I've been working with Word for over almost
30 years.
30 years. And I'd never seen that before. And I was able to track it down. I used AI to actually help me track it down. And it's a 1 with a square around it that's for placeholding a place on a website for, like if you highlight something and copy it from the website, it places that hidden character in the Word document of as just, I don't know why. I'm gonna have to research why, because I got to keep an eye out for that kind of stuff.
Well, thank you, Laura, because I always
Yeah.
thought Marshall only thought I was speaking gibberish.
Yeah, me and Alex was actually sitting in there saying, okay, I was trying to figure out what language it was. I think it's what was going on in the chat. And then it just struck me, maybe this really something. And it was. Thank you, Laura. We got another question in there.
Yeah, we do. We got 2. One from Marie is just a comment that she enjoyed your music, Marshall.
Oh,
So
can you
keep
put
that up.
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
playlist link, Marshall? on the
Oh,
chat?
okay. Yeah, now I'm gonna add the rest of them. I got about 200 now.
All right. So Andrea at 352 is saying, hi, we are checking the DDs for our LEAs and we noticed a high number of SENR 715E4 errors. Has anyone identified this as an issue? One of our LEAs has over 18,000 of them.
It's not. you're required to close out
Isn't
your
it to exit
enrollment.
the students? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this one is just going to be there so long as you haven't exited your students. This error is going to trigger so that way you are actively prevented from LEA approving your data until you have actually exited the students. So yeah, if they have 18,479 students, you're going to see that many errors. Looks like Kyron is typing the answers, so I will not try and clear it. So, all right. Jan at 3:53, ignore the errors until your school year ends. Yes, just grin and bear it, know that they're there, know that as soon as you're done and you submit that SCNR file exiting the students for the year, all of those will be resolved. And if you miss any, they'll still be triggering for those students. So you can go back and take care of them on one-offs.
Just seeing in the chat that Marcy from Design Tech, it's her birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you for spending your birthday with us.
I'm
One
serious.
Happy
part,
birthday,
because I don't know
Marcy.
if I'd be here. I'm like, I appreciate it. Like, yes.
Well, have a very good year. I hope everything comes up roses for you. All right, we have 5 minutes left. We don't have any new questions, so I think I'm going to call it. I'm going to give you 5 minutes back. Enjoy your week. Be safe out there. If you have any questions between now and the next Q&A, please submit a service desk ticket so we can get you your concerns addressed as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we will see you back here next Wednesday, same time, same place. Have a great week.